You don't know, you damn well should know. My name is Rag Reynolds, and today in this video, I'm gonna give you the rundown of 5 feminist myths that need to go away, but just won't. So the first is a myth that everyone has heard by now, and it's the myth that women earn 77 cents for every dollar a man earns in the United States. This is a myth that has gone so far up the chain that we've had presidents repeat it. We have world leaders repeating this debunked myth. So the whole premise is women apparently are on the negative end of this wage gap. And the wage gap apparently shows that women are earning less for the same work. However, that is not the case. No serious economist takes the wage gap seriously. In fact, it is illegal in the United States to pay a woman less money for the same work as a man. There is something called the Equal Pay Act that prevents this from happening. Oh, okay, so you might be asking now, so why do women earn 77 cents on the dollar? Why are their earnings only 77% of men's? Well, it's a pretty simple explanation, and it comes down to choices women make. You see, the wage gap only exists if you take the average earning of every single man in the country and compare it to the average earning of every single woman in the country. That means you're comparing men who are CEOs and running businesses to caretakers who are women. So this does not take into account the different choices that men and women will make throughout their lives. For example, men choose more often than women do to go into more dangerous job fields. That's why 92% of all workplace fatalities are men. And if you're doing a dangerous job, of course you will be expected to be getting a higher rate of pay than someone doing a safer job. It only makes sense. Women on average choose to work less hours than men do. They also choose to be part-time more often than men do. Women are less likely to negotiate for pay or to ask for a promotion than a man is. Women specifically choose to go into fields of study that do not pay as well. An example of this would be how men are more likely to choose to go into mechanical engineering, which is a very high-paying field, whereas women are more likely to be psychologists, which is not as high of a paying field as mechanical engineering. Christina Hoff Sommers recently put out a fantastic video breaking this all down, and I'll leave a link to that in the description for when you finish watching this video. But that's a fantastic video that gives far more detail and depth to this whole thing than I'm giving you at the moment, so please check that out. The second myth: 1 in 4 women are raped at college. This is a myth spread around by feminists. Sometimes you might hear 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 rather than 1 in 4, but 1 in 4 is the most common I hear. The myth is that on colleges 1 in 4, 1 in 5, whatever, women are sexually assaulted or raped during their time there. Now, what's so absurd about this is the fact that in order to believe it, you would need to believe that there is a rape epidemic in the US that rivals the rape epidemic in the Congo. In the Congo, it is estimated that 22% of women, that's a little over 1 in 5, are sexually assaulted at some point in their life, with around 12% of all women in the Congo being full-on raped at one point in their life. That's a little over 1 in 10. So to believe the nonsense spouted by feminists about these rape statistics, then you'd have to believe that it is worse or at least as bad in the US as it is in the Congo. And quite frankly, that is absurd. If there really was such a big rape epidemic on college campuses, then wouldn't that say a lot about the parents who are sending their daughters to college? Aren't they essentially sending their daughters away to be raped? If you as a parent were told, your daughter has a 1 in 5 chance of being raped if you send her to college, are you really going to allow your daughter to go to that college? If you were living with your parents at home and your dad asked you, can you run down to the store for me? And you said, oh, okay. And then he said to you, but just so you know, there's a 1 in 5 chance that someone will shoot you on your way down to the store. Would you go to the store? I don't think so. They're not good chances. You would be essentially being sent out to go get shot. So that leads me on to talking about the third myth, which would be the myth that we live in a rape culture. Rape culture is defined as a society that normalizes rape and sexual abuse. This is ludicrous. Rape is illegal. You go to jail for rape. People accused of rape are some of the most despised people in society. False rape accusations often ruin young men or young women's lives. Many people even look at rape as worse than murder. If we truly did live in a rape culture, then convicted rapists and those accused of rape would be applauded, or at the very least shrugged off. But that's not what happens. The fourth myth I want to talk about is not solely a feminist myth, but it is strongly pushed in feminist circles. And that myth is that gender is a social construct. I will not deny the fact that society generally tends to push quite strongly certain ideas of gender stereotypes and gender roles onto people. And I can understand that for someone who is confused about their gender, that could be harmful, that could be impactful to them. However, there is a reason why these stereotypes exist in the first place. There's a reason why these roles exist in the first place. And it's not just because society one day decided, women, you're like this, men, you're like this. No, it's nothing to do with that. These gender roles and stereotypes were created naturally. An example. Yes, you go into a toy store and the boys' toys tend to be blue and the girls' toys tend to be pink. Now, this isn't just because society one day decided boys like blue and girls like pink. No. In fact, the main reason for this is marketing. Sellers have realized that when given the choice, males are far more likely to choose the blue toys than the pink toys. And females are far more likely to choose the pink toys than the blue toys. Now, this isn't anything to do with any sort of construct or anything society has created. This is just simply males, for whatever reason, tend to be more attracted to the colour blue than they are to the colour pink. Now, of course, you're going to get males who do enjoy the colour pink. I'm not saying every single boy only likes blue or prefers blue to pink. I'm just saying that in general, as a gender, males tend to prefer blue. And you can see this if you take newborn children, you take very young children who haven't had these sort of toys thrown at them. If they haven't been, the boy hasn't been told you need to play with race cars, the boy is more likely to choose a race car than a Barbie doll, just as the female is more likely to choose a Barbie doll than a race car. And this happens in instances where children have not been forced certain toys. They have been given both sets of toys, both options. And almost always, the boy will choose the item that is intended for boys, and the girl will choose the item that is intended for girls. Now, of course, we should stop stigmatising boys who like to play with the so-called girl toys and the girls who like to play with the so-called boy toys. But this is by no means due to any sort of social construction of gender. Men and women's bodies and brains work differently. Men are more aggressive than women in general. There's a reason for that, and it's testosterone. We have biological differences that make us different ways. Men are not taught to be more aggressive. That isn't why they're more aggressive. They're more aggressive because of the testosterone in their bodies. We know that gender isn't a social construct by looking at the animal kingdom, for example. Let's take apes. Apes have not been exposed to or targeted by marketing or any sort of social construction of gender, have they? Of course not. Yet then why is it that male apes behave differently from female apes? Why is it that male lions behave differently from female lions? There are clear differences here. As I said, society certainly plays a role in pushing and normalising stereotypes and roles. It's not always a bad thing. They're there for a reason. However, I do understand that some people, especially those confused about their own identity and about their gender, can feel pressured to choose a side and to take up the mantle of whatever their genitals tell them to, and that's sometimes not right. And I definitely think we need to destigmatize a lot of the bad energy around a lot of these different issues. If a boy wants to play with a Barbie doll, he should be able to do that without fear of backlash. And if a girl wants to play with a race car, then she should be able to do the same. The fifth and final myth I would like to mention is the feminist myth that basically fuels feminism. It's the myth that women are oppressed in the Western world. Feminists would have you believe that in the West, women are oppressed, that males have all the privilege, that males are running the world and that women don't have equal rights. When in actual fact, in the Western world, women actually have more rights than men. I made a video about this previously, talking about the 12 rights that women have in the West that men do not. And you can watch that video by clicking right here. And if you want to see any of my other videos, then please click on those as well. Until next time, you're welcome, society.